Your average growth person, they're saying, let me figure out what the right playbook is. Let me question if this playbook even makes sense. Let me test out 7 different playbooks. And so I think that's what's very unique about the growth role.
Yeah, I mean, just adding one more point to it. I mean, see, a sales guy would be like, he'll use a Twilio as a dialer, send to and feed 200 numbers into it, do an automated calling, and then just get into it. But what a growth sales guy would actually do is, he will try out 5 templates with those 200 numbers and will figure out, okay, with 40 numbers for each template, which 2 templates work the best. Then he'll pick out those 2 templates and populate 500 more numbers to it. And that's how the conversion will increase. So this is where just sales and this is where growth sales differ from each other.
I think that experimentation is actually probably the core characteristic of a growth practitioner is whether you're growth sales, growth product, growth activation, growth social media, you can't just do your job as the person without growth would do it. You need to be taking bets on experiments. Even when you have something working, you need to constantly be experimenting more.
I mean, so this is what I feel like when I say that it keeps on evolving. So it keeps on evolving with experiments. I mean, the company wouldn't really grow with just time. I mean, you go to office every day for 2 years, it wouldn't just grow. You go to office with a different mindset on a weekly basis, trying out different new things. That's how company will grow. That's how your growth, your role as a growth person will grow. So experimentation is one of the core things a growth guy needs to do. I mean, and experimentation is on the basis of first principles and what you're doing right now. So I mean, there's a very common saying, either you win or you learn. So a growth person is someone who actually focuses more on learning rather than winning. So I mean, I always ask my team specifically, I mean, if we run an experiment, if we don't achieve results in a week, the 8th day we are sitting for 2 hours straight up. I don't really care. I mean, if it's 9 in the night or 9 in the morning, we are sitting together for 2 hours and we are just focusing on what did we learn. And I probably prefer more meetings when the experiments didn't work out rather than when experiments start working well. Because if you're not learning or, just documenting or journaling or brainstorming that why this thing didn't work. Because to understand what 2 things will never work is more important than understanding the other aspects of the business. Because you basically start filtering out things and you start taking cues from them that why this didn't work. And in the next experiment, you'll be more prepared. You'll be more innovative that, okay, this didn't work out and this didn't work out for this and this reason. And now in the next experiment, you are more prepared to get the better results or the better learnings, I would say.
Yeah, so I actually want to simulate one of these conversations. So my business, for people who don't know, right, I need to drive traffic to my newsletter and my podcast, okay? So I'm pretty successful with LinkedIn. So let's not talk about that. That's what worked, right? Let's talk about some experiment that hasn't been working for me, which is Instagram. I haven't been able to drive much traffic. I know TopMate actually has been able to on Instagram. So that's why I secretly want to learn more from you. But I think that let's simulate the full conversation. So if I came to you on my team and I said, hey, I'm doing some experiments on Instagram and they're not working, what would be kind of the next question? How would the discussion go?
So see, I mean, first we need to understand that you're focusing on social media as one of your distribution channels. And for distribution, the core instrumental thing is traffic or eyeballs. So now you need to understand, first thing is what will bring more eyeballs and traffic to your page. So I'm just assuming that for you, the right now the problem statement is to get more people visit your Instagram profile or engage. So, but if we make the full flow chart, basically for someone who needs to engage to your Instagram profile or content, first they need to see it. First, your content needs to have a certain number of eyeballs. And if you make a certain flow chart, okay, if I get, let's say 1 million eyeballs, 50% is the conversion rate, people who visit my profile. 20% is the drop-off rate, people who engage with other content. And 10% is the another drop-off who eventually follow my page. So now you need to run a certain experiments which will generate more eyeballs. Either the thing is you work on better conversion, but I'll always say first start with the most simple problem, which is on the top of the funnel, where you get more and more eyeballs. So to get more eyeballs for Instagram, one is by first experiment, and the very basic and simple would be to diversify your content. It can be reels, it can be a post, it can be a carousel, it can be an Instagram live, it can be stories, it can be just some personal story, it can be just vlogging your day-to-day life. So once you start, experiment or diversify your content, and if you have, let's say, experimentation, as I mentioned, if you have let's say, experimented 7 types of content, you'll probably get a feel that, okay, my daily vlogging life is something which entices people more on my social media. So then you need to double down. And if your ultimate goal, if the content of your Instagram page is about product management, then try to tweak in that into your product management insights or learning which you put out as a content. Probably how a day-to-day life of product management person looks like. Or if, let's say, if I say Instagram Live is something which is bringing more people to your traffic, then try to collaborate with people. And for social media, this is a well-established fact that when people start collaborating, it actually helps. I mean, frankly speaking, because you are basically getting eyeballs from traffic, from your own traffic and from someone else's traffic as well. So it's a win-win situation for you and the other person you are collaborating with.